The Adidas Swift Terrex R2 GTX 1 year later. Hey, what's up guys? My name's Josh with Terradrift. We're all about vegan travel and adventure. So if you're into the outdoors, world travel, or veganism, please consider subscribing. So today I'm bringing you the long-awaited update to my shoe review video. Now the previous video, even though it received over 11,000 views as of this upload, well, I got some flack for it. The first issue, and it was a big one, was the sound. But after I got them, I took them out on the trail. The second one was that a lot of people who watched the video were looking for synthetic or specifically vegan hiking boots. And I made this comment. These are fully synthetic, so they're basically vegan. Now for those of you who are not in the vegan community, basically vegan doesn't exist. You're either vegan or not vegan. Your product is either vegan or it's not. So what did I mean by basically vegan? Well, on paper, these shoes are 100% vegan. Now the issue is, even if a shoe is made out of synthetic materials, the manufacturer could still use animal-based glues to put their shoes together. So we contacted Adidas and found out that they do use synthetic adhesives. So totally in the clear. These are 100% vegan. And of course, these are not the only vegan hiking shoes out there. There are a lot of different shoes and boots to choose from. We actually did a post on it on our website, terradrift.com, and we even go as far as to list manufacturers that are 100% vegan. Not Adidas. They use leather sometimes. Yeah. Now, traditionally, I am a hiking boot kind of guy. I like that extra ankle support. But because these days I often use trekking poles when I'm on a long hike, I don't worry about that support as much. So a hiking shoe was fine. Now there are several versions of this shoe. This is the GTX, and that GTX stands for Gore-Tex. Gore-Tex, if you're not familiar with it, is a waterproof, breathable membrane that it's used on a lot of outdoor products, including shoes and boots. I personally like it because when there's a light rain, or if I'm walking through a shallow mountain stream that's crossing the trail, my feet and shoes stay dry. There are a good handful of people that do not like Gore-Tex or waterproof shoes because their feet get hot, and also if you're in torrential downpours or if you happen to dunk your whole foot in water, water will pool inside and you have to take off your shoe and dump it out. So really it's just personal preference and understanding where you're going to be going, what kind of weather you're getting into when you're going backpacking or hiking. If you're interested in the non-Gore-Tex version, there's a link in the description. So looking at the shoes themselves, the sole is made out of Continental rubber, as in the tire company, so it's a good sturdy rubber. Now after a year of pretty aggressive use, these are worn down and have lost a little bit of their grip. I can probably get at least, I would say, another 6 months out of these. A couple months after I purchased these, I was at Canyonlands National Park, and on those steep, slick rocks, I felt really secure in these. And one of the things I really like about this is the tread pattern and how aggressive it is, and how varied it is as well. So you feel really secure when you're doing those kind of treks. So let's talk laces. So these are quick adjust laces, and I really love these. I honestly don't know if I would go back to traditional tied laces anymore after this. These are just so easy to use. The only problem I have with these is that when these laces get really dirty, really dusty, this adjustment can become very difficult to slide around. But if you just kind of wiggle it back and forth, it will loosen up for you. So if these laces are too long out of the box, this part here actually opens up. You can snip the ends, retie knots in them, and put it back together. And then the whole thing goes into this lace bungee, like so, and holds it down while you're wearing them. The shoe is covered in a ripstop type material, and it's held up fairly well, but there are a few problem areas. So for instance, in this shoe, you can see that possibly my foot just rubbing against this piece here has frayed that open. And on the tongue, just from being down and rubbing inside the shoe, that has opened that up. Over here on this shoe, I'm not sure what's happened here. Maybe I've just brushed against some rocks, or maybe a trekking pole spike, but the fabric has been rubbed quite a bit here, and that's starting to come apart. Also right here, that's starting to get frayed where the tongue has come in contact with my foot. Looking at the rest of the shoe, it's in pretty good shape. You can see just looking around, the sole is still really firmly attached. None of the threads are frayed or coming out. Now when hiking, I generally wear two socks. I wear a liner sock and a thicker hiking sock. The liner sock is just to act kind of like an extra skin and helps prevent blisters. So to accommodate that, I actually went a half size up from my actual shoe size. The other thing that benefits is the toe box. So I actually have a tiny bit more room in the toe box, which is important when you're hiking. Now I know people that wear two hiking socks, thick hiking socks, when they go on backpacking trips. And for that, they actually go a whole size up from their traditional shoe size. And it's also important to note that when you're going on long hikes and backpacking, your feet will swell a bit. So generally speaking, you do want to go up in size to accommodate that. So these shoes do run true to size. They might be a little bit on the wide side if you have narrow feet. Now for me, I overpronate, and while these shoes are not designed to compensate for that, I have not had any problems with them. It actually took 3 days of solid hiking before I noticed any problems associated with overpronation. For instance, extra pressure on the balls of my feet. Possible solutions would be to just wear one sock and get your normal shoe size with these so that it hugs your foot a little bit better, or get something like a Superfeet insert. I'm really happy with these shoes. They've held up very well considering how much I've put them through. I would still recommend trying them out. I would say they're probably going to last me about 2 years at this rate, but if you're the type of person that can only get out a couple times a year to do a serious hike or backpacking, they might last you as long as 5 or more years. I actually had a pair of hiking boots that I used only a couple times a year, and I used them for 10 years. And the thing that ended up killing them wasn't that they were worn down, but the adhesive actually gave up the ghost and the sole came off. So depending on the quality of the shoe you get, they can last you a really long time. So the thing with these shoes I'm really going to have to keep an eye on is just these problems with the material starting to come apart, and that might need repaired at some point in the near future if I'm going to keep using these. That's it guys, thanks for watching. If you didn't like this video, that's perfectly fine, but if you did, please like, share it, and consider subscribing. We also have tons of great content on our blog terradrift.com, so check that out. You can also follow our travels on Instagram and Facebook at Terradrift. And last but not least, all of the products we talked about in the video are in the description.